right discourses going on. After 60s, they were over. Nothing had happened. Then we're just dealing with a post-Marxist discourse, and there is another important philosopher from Georgia, Mamardashvili, who was one of the very important representatives of like a post-Marxist discourse. So, and about many other things. Like, for instance, there is a very important aspect concerning like the development of new classes that Katie Chukov touches in her text. And as an example, she brings a wonderful film by Ottavio Celiani called Pastoral, which was made in 1976, but it was kind of like reflecting the logic which was developing since 60s. And it was about intelligentsia, musicians, which are playing in the chamber orchestra, which are deciding to go to the countryside and to have their rehearsals there. So they're just hiring a small place in a village, very traditional village, which was in fact not traditional because Celiani in fact is criticizing in his films how the traditional lifestyle was perverted, how it was corrupted by modernism, which we call kolkhoz, how people, the economy of the village was totally corrupted. And over there you see a very interesting distanciation that is present since the very beginning of the film, that those intelligentsia representatives are always keeping away from kolkhozniks, and the same way you can see like kolkhozniks are kind of like having a very kind of like the ironic attitude towards them. So there was no anymore commonality. This commonality was gone. And here we're dealing again with a process of forgetting, the process of this collective amnesia that was taking place. And in a very short terms of time. And if you would just follow the literature, the cinematography, the narratives that were developed in that particular period of time, you can constantly see that the tradition, how starting to dominate above the concepts of innovation, like innovation, modernity, alternative social order, it's bluff. Arevshatyan made beautiful films where he's using still modernistic language, but the content is about eternity of tradition. Nothing is changing. You can just change the image. But the image still speaks about something that was forever. Okay, now I'm coming very quickly to the constructivist architecture that we had in the beginning of the century, and this is another thing because in 60s there was also kind of like the revival of the functionalist architecture. And in 20s we had a very interesting architect, very good architect, the groups like Mazmanyan, Kochar, Yerkanyan. So these were the architects like Karo Halaban, the architects which passed through Vchutemas, Vchutein, Mazmanyan and Halaban. They were also the founders of Vohra group. And they realized many projects in Armenia, in Moscow, in Kharkov. So Here I can just show you just the group of the works. This is like the pension of the writers, which I'll show you later on. This is the first communas in Yerevan, communal houses in Yerevan made by Mazmanyan. This is an urban development in Kapan city. Here you can see another model of the house, which is called the chess house. And here you can see like the realization, and don't be surprised if you notice like a masonry, because the architecture, the constructivist architecture that was developing in Soviet Union was using still like the traditional constructing methods. But recently I just found out that even Gropius in his Fagus, when they just recently renovated, they found out also some like the elements of like the traditional, like the constructive elements. So this is the Stanislavski theater, and then it was the exile period. In 1937, Mazmanyan and Kochar, they were exiled. They were sent to Siberia. They were sent. One was sent to Krasnoyarsk. The other was sent in Norilsk. Both of them, they developed the master plans of those two cities. But here you can see that in that period of time, they totally changed their style. It's here you can see it's Mazmanyan's main square in Krasnoyarsk, which was built in a pure Stalinistic architecture. Then, after 1956, they got back, and Mazmanyan was involved in the urban planning, mainly in the urban planning. And here you can see the development of the center of Yerevan city, and the main axis is the Northern Avenue. Just please pay attention on this part. And you can read, you can see in fact what kind of like the functionalist solutions were used by Mazmanyan. And now you can see the realization of the Northern Avenue, which was done recently, and this is one of the best examples of gentrification that we have. And here we're coming also another point. As a new form of architecture was used the Stalinistic style, or let's say the parody of Stalinistic style, but which the new architects are just presenting as a continuation of a school, another school, which was, let's say, Yerevan was developing under influence of two paradigms, like the neoclassicistic paradigm, which was established by Alexander Kamanyan, who designed the master plan of Yerevan, who built the most important buildings, but next to it there was the modernistic paradigm, which was also shaped the city. And it lasted till 1932, when after well-known Stalin's decree, all the independent groups were just closed. They just gone. Some of them were exiled architects. The most important architects, representative of Russian constructivism, if you would see their works done in the during the post-constructivist period, and later on they were dealing with the pure Stalinistic style.